These hangovers get worse every time. This is Brainspill, my name is Tank, and someone please get me some aspirin. And today we're talking about hangover cures, but not just any hangover cures. We're going back in the past, throughout history, to find out some of the strangest hangover cures that people have ever used. Some of them are pretty gnarly, and I think you'd be frowned upon for using today. Some of these are genuinely ridiculous. Before we jump in, if you like the video, be sure to subscribe to never miss an upload. Hangovers, the bittersweet aftermath of revelry, have been the quite literal headache of humanity since the invention of the hangover cure. As people have tried to outsmart the notorious morning after, history reveals a treasure trove of strange and comical hangover cures, such as... In the land of the pyramids and pharaohs, ancient Egyptians were no stranger to the art of drinking, nor were they strangers to peculiar hangover cures. Historical records suggest that they brewed a mystical potion from boiled myrtle, mixed with wood oil with the belief that this elixir could magically erase headaches induced by revelry. The fact that nobody does this these days does make you think that, well, maybe it doesn't work, because if it worked, everybody would still be doing it. There's a very common theme with that throughout this entire video. Another novel idea was the supposed stringing together of leaves from the Alexandrian Camadefine shrub. Apparently, the idea was thought to have medicinal benefits if this was worn around the neck. If only it were that simple, mind you. However, this was early days in the grand scheme of things, and people would come up with much more bonkers ideas as time went on. As the saying goes, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. And apparently, this included frying up a canary after a night of excess drinking. Yeah, a little bit of chicken on a pan. I'm sure that'll fill the spot every time you're feeling a bit ravenous in the morning. The Romans, known for their lavish parties and vibrant social life, thought that indulging in a crispy canary would somehow grease the wheels of recovery. Apparently. They would also fry up owl eggs, which you'd think they wouldn't be too easy to come by, but there we are. In all honesty, out of anything we've heard of up until this point, this seems the most reasonable. I mean, you've got a bit of protein, you've got meat and eggs. That sounds like something that might be a hearty breakfast after a heavy night's drinking. So, I wouldn't say no. Owl eggs and fried canaries? Sign me up. Now, enter the Renaissance period, where art, culture, and hangovers all collided in a spectacular symphony. I am a man of roaring culture. In a remedy known as hair of the dog, individuals believed that the best way to overcome the hangover was to consume a small amount of the same alcoholic beverage responsible for this sorry state. It's like fighting fire with fire, or in this case, battling the spirits with even more spirits. The logic might be questionable, but the commitment to finding a solution is undeniable. So much so that this very hangover cure is used to this very day. So, the fact that people do use the hair of the dog to this day, does it even work? There are no solid scientific studies assessing whether it does work, but the theory behind it suggests that because hangover symptoms are as a result of your body breaking down alcohol to get rid of it, raising alcohol in the body again by drinking would remove these symptoms. However, it's also been claimed that drinking alcohol boosts endorphins, which can mask the uncomfortable hangover symptoms. And you know what, from past experience, I can kinda see how this works. I mean, it's not great for you, but at least it might help you get over the worst of what you're feeling. However, the reality of the situation is that it might be just delaying the inevitable. By having more booze in your system, you're just delaying being sober. And we all know that the come down to soberness is a terrible thing. In the medieval era, where knights and damsels partied heavily, a peculiar hangover remedy involved... and I don't believe I'm about to say this, but, well, people in the medieval times had some rather peculiar hangover cures. One of which was taking one's own balls and dipping it in salt and vinegar. Don't ask me how that works. For women, it's putting it on the chest. So, as you might imagine, this was... I would love to know whose idea this was and what the logic was behind it. You know what? I can't judge too hard because I've never tried it. So next weekend I'm going to get myself a packet of salt and vinegar crisps and see what happens. The Roaring Twenties, known for its jazz, flapper fashion and spirited parties, also birthed a very particular hangover cure, which many people are likely familiar with. This being the Bloody Mary, a spiced up mix of tomato juice and vodka, arguably created at Harry's Bar in Paris in the 1920s, which has been touted as a hangover cure. Somehow, I've had one of these things before and they're absolutely vile. That might be just the one I had, but particularly on the morning after a long night out, I do not want one of those things near me. It's... bleh. Yeah, hangover cure or not, it certainly didn't do me any favours, but maybe I need another to try it again. And you know what, this is something else which is also used to this very day, so it does make you wonder whether there is any method in the madness. As far as something else absolutely disgusting, have you ever heard of a prairie oyster? This is it right here. The ingredients is 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, salt, pepper and 2 dashes of Tabasco. Strangely enough, this thing has some rather big similarities to many of the other previous hangover cures we've looked at, so this might be just an accumulation of everything we've seen before. Yeah, you pretty much just crack the egg in an old-fashioned glass, leaving the yolk unbroken, dose it with some Worcestershire sauce, sprinkle your salt and pepper and Tabasco, and down it all in one gulp. Lovely stuff. At the end of the day, I will try anything once, even if it probably tastes like piss. Ever thought about rubbing lemon slices under your armpits, or even chugging pickle juice? I don't know where these ones originated from, but these are mighty strange nonetheless. Hangover cures which have apparently been used throughout history, and maybe even to this very day. There's also another one called a bullseye. You add a raw egg to orange juice and drink it. That's it. I'm not saying you should try this or that it's even safe. I've never even heard of it until I researched it, but apparently it's a well-known hangover cure. If anyone has tried this, let me know, and hopefully tell me it's disgusting because I do not want to try it. Despite the fact that this would probably make me feel worse than I did without it, the method behind the madness is that the egg has chemicals which helps restore bodily functions, and the orange juice provides the vitamin C to revitalise your body. Or maybe they're just saying this as an excuse to get people to try this disgusting drink. That's right, garlic soup, sardines on toast, pickled sheep's eyes and tomato sauce. Yes, these are all real things which apparently people have for hangover cures. Never tried any of them, never want to. But there's a first time for everything. The history of hangover cures seems to go from completely illogical to somewhat plausible, back to completely illogical. It's almost like over the many centuries of drinking booze, we've never quite figured out the miracle cure for that elusive hangover that we all seem to get after a heavy night's drinking. So, here's to those humans in the past that have tried the most ridiculous things to try and solve the problem of the hangover. We're not quite there yet, but maybe dipping our balls in some salt and vinegar might be just the step we need to find that miracle cure. I'll let you know how it is. If you guys like that video, here's another one just like it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Fantastic.